Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are down on the mat for this mat bar workout that's going to work inner and outer thighs, as well as a little bit of the core, of course. If you want to amp this up, you could add some light ankle weights, but it's also going to really be a burner without anything at all except your own body weight. So if you're ready, roll out your mat and let's go. Hi guys, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sarah and I post mostly bar and Pilates inspired workouts, and for the next few months now while I am pregnant, these are going to be prenatal friendly and most of the time postpartum friendly as well. I will have marked that in the title anyway, so there will be no doubt. So yeah, it's going to be a nice mat-based bar workout today. Very, very leggy one, so don't think just because that I've marked this postpartum prenatal friendly that it's going to be easy, because it definitely is a challenging one. And if you wanted to make it even more challenging, you could add on some light ankle weights to this. So that's an option. Before we get cracking though, if you would like to keep up with some more content from me, so especially related to women's hormone health and conception and now my pregnancy journey, you can find me over on Instagram at F2D Fitness. Also down below, I will have linked the shop where you can purchase my 28-day workout program, the Hustle and Flow Guide, and that is a cycle syncing workout program. So that is designed to help balance your hormones over the course of the month through your workouts. And it's what I have used probably more than just about anything else. So yeah, those two things, that's out of the way. We're going to start with a nice kind of core-centric warm-up. Of course, we always do. So go ahead, come on to hands and knees here. Hands underneath shoulders, knees under hips, and then scooping navel up and in. We're going to be taking a little hover of the knees. From that little hovering position, we're just going to press back to a downward dog and go between those two positions. So starting in 3, 2, 1. So just following the breath here, knees are hovering. Let's exhale, press all the way back to downward dog, grounding down through the heels, still squeezing navel in. Shift forward, shoulders over wrists again, hugging navel in, so wrapping nice and tight. Exhale, press back. And if you're doing this in the morning, which is when I'm filming, I am feeling like my hamstrings are a little bit tight. So it might just take a few goes of that downward dog to get it to open up a little bit more. But that's okay. That's why we're doing it anyway. But maybe you've started your day with a walk or something and you're not so tight. Or maybe you're doing this later in the day. That's cool too. I've actually been enjoying working out more in the evenings lately. Kind of a wind down. All right, last one there. Just land back on hands and knees here. With the right leg, you're just gonna start drawing a big hip circle. So knee is going to stay bent, back stays flat, so core is still very much engaged. You'll notice I'm not swinging side to side here. I'm maintaining long line here, tailbone through the crown of the head. And then within that, just doing the biggest circle I can. So we're looking to open up the hip a little bit, create a little bit of warmth there. And then at the same time, go ahead, reverse direction of that circle. At the same time, we are working that core stability. So still pulling up and in. Imagine you have a tray of drinks on the back that you're trying to keep there and not spill. Do one more here, and then we're going to extend this right leg long behind, left arm long in front. Exhale, lift. Option here to take a little helicopter out to the side, back to center, and touch back down, repeating. So lift, nice long reach there, so finding length through the fingertips and toes. Keep squeezing navel, up and in. Back flat, And again, as that leg goes out to the side, same as when we did those hip circles just now, you're not opening up the hip. So hips will still stay square to the floor. We're using the muscles to just press it out. Both sides of the torso stay equally long there, so you should feel nice and extended. Last one here. And release. All right, other side here. So left leg, starting with that bent circle. Recenter. And I think these ones feel so good for the core, just pulling up and in. Really, really good in pregnancy. Good practice. Keeping everything in tight and helps with the recovery. Go ahead, reverse direction of that leg. Pressing equally into both hands here. So you'll know if you're really opening and twisting here if you see that the opposite elbow is bending. So sometimes I'll show you one. I see people do this where they're really collapsing there. No, you're staying pressed away from the floor here, keeping engaged in the abs. And that's where the energy is centered. Last one there. Extend that leg long, right arm comes in front. We exhale, raise, little open, center, lower down. And sometimes I know it can be quite tempting as the arm and leg come down to release the abs as well. No, that's not happening. You're squeezing up and in the entire time. So whether we're lifted or lowered, you're still pulling navel up and in, staying super, super engaged through the core. Should feel nice and stable here. So we're just lifting in line with the torso, finding that opening, again, keeping both sides of the torso equally long. Nice deep breaths. Last one here. And then let's just sit back to a wide leg child's pose here for a moment. So toes together, knees open, melting down. You can give the hips a little wiggle side to side. You could stay a bit higher up there as well. Okay, from here, we're gonna come down onto one side and we're gonna kind of be on this side a little bit long haul. It's gonna be a little bit long haul. So coming down onto one side, pick your starting side. The thing is, either way, you're gonna be working both dominant and non-dominant because we're gonna work both legs on this side, flip, do it all on the other side. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter here. Starting nice and simple though, we're gonna do a nice little clamshell series. So you guys know clamshells probably open and close. That's it. We've got full minute basically of everything. So we are going long haul. Starting in 3, 2, 1. So keeping heels together, exhale, open, inhale, press closed. So I'm just exactly on the side of the body here. I'm not rolling back to the bottom glute. I'm not opening this top hip. I'll show you one as an example. So we're not going woo all the way back here. No. Hip stays where it starts. So you can always bring a hand there just as kind of a reminder, sort of a note to self. Navel pulling into spine as well. And really think of pushing the legs close. So we're kind of getting that opposite motion as well. Working a bit of the inner thighs. And we are going to kind of add on to that with our next exercise, which is going to work a bit of external and internal rotation just for fun. Just for fun. Last one here. All right, so you're still going to do that clamshell, but this time you're going to stay open, lift the foot, so knee turns down, heels back together, and down. So it's an open, turn, heels, close. Like I said, just working that internal rotation as well, which probably for most of us, we work less often, I would say, most of the time. I mean, majority of the time, most of us are just moving around in parallel, right? So we're not necessarily working a huge amount of inner or outer, but more likely we're going to be working outer than inner. Just keep it going here. We'll do one last little kind of clamshelly bit for now. Last one here. And then keep heels together, knees apart. We're just going to extend and touch. So again, notice I'm not opening up the hip. I'm not going boom all the way up here, which I could do if that hip moves a lot. Hip stays in the same place. Within that, I'm going as big and high as I possibly can. So I'm not just like, doing a little weenie one down here. It is going high. I am pushing against that resistance. I am actively trying to find that turnout, but from the muscles without the hip doing it. So hip is pushing forward. It's staying in place. I'm really having to engage those muscles to get that extension. And hopefully it's starting to feel like kind of like burn in the corner. The thing is, no matter what side is second, it's gonna feel like the second side. So right now, enjoy this. Last one here. And then you're gonna extend bottom leg. Take this top leg over, bottom leg long, flex the foot, turn toes down to the floor. We lift and lower. So now switching over to inner thigh on that bottom leg. So I am in a turned out position. Notice heels up, toes are down. Keep that position. Push through the heel. We're not pushing through the toes. We don't just have like a weird floppy foot here either. It is really, really extended, keeping these nice and controlled. So also watch the leg isn't just dropping back down. It's a controlled lower. And you're pushing nice and high. Navel still into spine here. At least we're on a fresh leg. For now, like I said, this is why second side, it doesn't necessarily matter. I wasn't super strategic with which side I chose to do first. I just kind of came down onto this side because I know second side is gonna be second side. Keep it up, point the toes, little tiny pulses here. So that pulse is coming from the inner thigh. So think of engaging there. Don't think about the foot going up and down. Sometimes I see people really clearly thinking about that and they start to wiggle at the knee or the ankle. You want to keep that nice long line here. So think about like if you have a wall across from you, drawing a little line with your toes going up and down on that wall, squeezing from the inner thigh. Last few seconds here, it's just 30 seconds of this. And then flex the foot again. You're going to keep leg lifted. Inhale, curl heel to butt. Exhale, extend, push long through the heel. So again, flexing that foot, really actively flexing that foot. Keep thinking of wrapping navel in. Get an inner thigh, nice and juicy. And we're still thinking about keeping that top hip stacked. So you don't want to be, again, rolling onto the bottom glute here. No part of your bottom glute should be touching floor. It should just be floating there in the back because we are on the side. So you're on that bottom hip bone. Whew, starting to burn a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So I said, these are challenging, but yeah, if you wanted to kick it up, I do love doing this series with an ankle weight as well. It is brutal. Yes, it is. Last one here, point the toes, and again, we're gonna go back to that pulse. So we still did a minute of pulsing. We just split it up. That was the trick. That was the trick in there. It still happened. But it kind of feels like it didn't now, right? So thinking high and controlled. If these are really big, like this, woo! I'm really not even feeling the inner thigh because I'm not staying in the movement. So you want to keep it engaged and high the entire time. Go ahead, release, extend both legs long here. You can extend bottom arm as well. We're gonna lift both legs, hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Again, lift. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Working into the core, working into the obliques. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow press down. Again. squeeze, lift. I'm really feeling that inner thigh. Hello. Lower down. Still having a lift here. Squeeze. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. The next one's gonna be a real doozy. Squeeze. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Legs are just staying long in line with the torso here. So keep that nice straight line. One more here is gonna do it. And then we're gonna do one final lift and we're gonna stay right here. Top leg, you're going to draw a circle in one direction. That bottom leg is just floating. Keep it nice and long. And again, as always, we're not rocking around on the hips here. So keeping it really nice and controlled. We can do this. It feels good in a certain way. If you let it. And go ahead, reverse that circle. Of course, we're gonna go both ways. And of course, if you're like me, probably started on the easier direction. Oh, regret. Yeah, I started the easier direction. Which was actually going backward with the circle. One more here, and then we'll get to lower those legs. Yay. Bend the knees again here, lift the feet. We're going back to a clamshell, but now we've got feet elevated. So exhale, open, inhale, closed. Exhale, open, inhale, closed. At least it feels good to have that bottom knee down. Still stacking the hips here, navel to spine, all the usual things. Squeezing the glutes tight there at the top of that lift. If you guys are doing ankle weights at this stage, you're probably really hurting. But yeah, if you're doing ankle weights, you could do it for part of this. You wouldn't necessarily have to do it for the whole thing, the whole big extravaganza. Just make sure that however much time you spend using weights on the first side, you match it on the second side. One more here, and now we're gonna add that rotation. So internal rotation, heels come back to air, close. It's the same thing we did with the bottom leg on the floor. We've just brought it up to elevated. So open, turn, together, close. Open, turn. I do really like the feeling of that internal rotation, I'm not gonna lie. Again, it's just these movements that we don't do so much in the day-to-day that then when you do them, you realize how much your body needs it and how much better off it would be doing it. And just generally, my experience in pregnancy thus far, I'm just kind of rounding into third trimester. What? Last one here. But my experience, heels together here, extensions, has been that any kind of physical symptoms I've had have only ever been made better by more movement. So that has been my experience. Any aches or pains when I felt them, I've exercised, I've gone for a walk. It's vastly improved things. So yeah, for a number of symptoms, indigestion as well. If your digestion is struggling, everything, absolutely everything has been made better by more movement. So yeah, I have been enjoying staying fairly active, let's say. And it's hard sometimes because you want to just sort of lie on the couch and veg. I'm nope, I know I'm going to feel better if I do the opposite. One more here. Ooh, those were starting to burn out. Okay, come up to the elbow here. Last little push here. We're going to do top leg extended. You're going to do knee to elbow, side plank dip. Knee to elbow, side plank dip. Only 30 seconds of this one because, well, something else is gonna happen here. And that is we're gonna stay here in the side plank and just now do that knee to elbow. So only 30 seconds with the dip. Now it's a hold. So strong shoulder there, even more so strong oblique. Think about using that bottom supporting outer thigh and glute. There's a lot of strength and power there. So, use that. One more here. And go ahead, release. We're done with that side. Can you believe it? That was long. That was a long haul. But we're gonna flip on over to the other side and repeat that whole song and dance. Hopefully I can remember it. This is a good test for my brain too. Starting off from basic clamshell. So feet are down here. We're squeezing that top glute, starting in 3, 2, 1. All right, squeeze it open, press it closed. Squeeze it open, press it closed. Again, keeping top hip in the same spot. I'm thinking navel to spine. I do sometimes find it helpful, like you'll probably notice, I did this even before I was pregnant often. I'll just put a hand on my belly as like a note to self, engage. And it does help. So I do find that helpful even sometimes, like I'll use that with personal training clients. Sometimes just like touching the spot that needs to be active just helps you, helps send your brain there. Helps engage it. So yeah, don't be afraid to do that. Especially if you're quite a tactile person. All right, couple more of these, and then we're gonna add on that internal rotation. So we still do the clamshell. So it's gonna be open, turn, boom, boom. I feel like this exercise that will like kick out, it makes me feel like I should be at like a country western bar, right? Does anybody see it? Yeehaw. Just like that will kick out. Put on my cowboy boots. I do own cowboy boots. They're pretty nice. Got them at Boot Barn in Cheyenne, Wyoming, 5 years ago. Good hot spot. If you're near a Boot Barn, good hot spot to get your cowboy boots. They don't get a huge amount of wear though, if I'm honest. In Europe, they don't get a huge amount of wear. Although they were really trendy for a bit. I think they maybe even still are. Last one here. And then heels stay together, extend, touch in. So again, I'm getting as much of that rotation as I can without opening the hip. It is hard. It is real hard. And again, we're on the second side here, which just means everything is that little bit harder too. So yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are at this point, but just keep pushing through. Just focus on the breathing. I always think the more tired like the leg gets too, the more awareness I bring to the core, because that's the source of all of your magic powers here. You might think like, oh, but this is a lower body workout. Yeah, it is, but it's always a core workout, Core is always going to be number one because that's what makes all the rest of it even possible. So start there, you'll find the rest. Last one here, and then let's step that top leg over, extend bottom leg long, foot is flexed, toes angles down, exhale, lift, inhale, lower. And as I'm doing this, I'm trying to remember back what inner thigh workouts I've done this week. I definitely have, because my inner thighs already came into this a little bit sore. So I am most definitely feeling this, but that's okay. It's part of the reason I did not use ankle weights in this. But it is quite long haul for the ankle weights. So I think, it's the kind of workout you might want to do, I don't know, at least a couple times without. Make sure you've got all those exercises down. And then if you're a bit more advanced, then you can start playing with some ankle weights, adding some more resistance. Ankle weights are fun. I'm not gonna lie, they are a good time. Last one here, point the toes, little tiny pulses. Again, squeezing from the inner thigh. I'm sending my mind, my concentration to the inner thigh. It's not at the foot. It's only 30 seconds for now, but now you guys know that second 30 seconds is gonna come around. Before you know it, it's gonna be here. A few more seconds here, and then flex that foot, keep it lifted. We curl heel into butt, exhale, push all the way long, pause in the extension. So you're really finding that nice line all the way from the hip down through the heel. And you're trying to make that the longest line that you possibly can, because why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Keeping that top hip stacked. Yeah, it's the second side. It's always the second side that's getting me. I remember at this point on the first side, I was like, it's not too bad. Even by the end of the first side, I was like, this isn't too bad. It's when you hit that second side and you realize, actually, everything is kind of fatigued. But it's not so long. We can do it. We can do it. One more here, and then here comes that second set of pulses. So point the toes again, little tiny lifts. Let's see if we can even make the second set a little bit higher, a little bit tighter, a little bit more controlled than the first set. So again, pulses are never meant to be big. We have a full range motion, which were the initial flex lifts for these, or that extension as well that we just did. And then we have a pulse, and they're very, very distinct. So keep your pulses really, really small. All right, go ahead, release. Stack both legs here, come all the way down, arm extended. We exhale, lift, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Lift, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, release. We're not folding out the hips here, so it's just one nice long line here, toes through the crown of the head. And we're just engaging the obliques and that bottom inner thigh. This is where my my inner thigh actually is just like, please no more. Please don't put me through this more, because it's also now having to lift the weight of the top leg. So yeah, if you're doing this with ankle weights, insanity, that's really gonna be a doozy. I think had I elected to use ankle weights here, probably I would have wanted to remove them before this one. Let's be real. All right, do one more lift, keep that bottom leg up, and top leg, we're going to circle again. So nice and controlled. I have a little bit less range of motion on this side, but I'm still looking to match that circle as much as I can without losing the balance. So that is the core stability. Again, we're not rocking back and forth on the hips. Going as big as I can without losing that balance. Bottom leg, reminder, stays lifted, stays long. Reverse that circle. Ooh, that is spicy. Do not forget about that bottom leg, because if it's starting to drop back down to the floor, or sometimes we'll see is like the foot is lifted but the knee is down, something like this. That is just sad. That's just sad. It's not what we're here for. It's not the move. Don't pretend you can't lift the whole leg. I know you can. Do one more here. Whew. Okay, come back to our clamshell position, feet lifted. Open, press closed. I will say, yeah, after those ones, it does feel good for at least 20 seconds to be back in these clamshells. Exhale, open. Inhale, press closed. It's amazing how much stuff can burn while just lying down. But there's something like psychological about it for me. If I'm doing a mat bar workout, mentally I'm like, yeah, it's not bad. I can do this. I'm lying down. I'm half relaxed. Whereas I do feel like a traditional like standing bar workout, Like I really have to brace myself for. It's not necessarily harder, but mentally I do find it tougher. Last one here. Now we have that internal rotation. So we open, rotate, close. Oh boy. That is a hard angle here because we're already working from more of a turnout than when we had the feet on the floor, but keeping it controlled. So don't race through these, keep them at my pace. I'm setting the pace here for a reason. It's intentional. We want to really maximize that motion and not just rush through it and kind of half-ass it. No. We are so close to being done with the second side. And then we'll have a bit of a finisher and stretch it out. So nearly there. Last one of those, keep knees open. Oh my, extend and bend. We're rounding into the finish line. This is the last of our clamshells. Keep that bottom foot lifted. Push all the way through that extension. There should be at least a little bit of a pause in the extension to show the position. Imagine somebody's taking your picture. We want to see that full extension. And then keeping it engaged, keeping it turned out as you bend back in. So there's resistance both ways. I'm resisting going out. I'm also resisting bringing it back in. If it's too easy bringing it back in, chances are you're losing a bit of that turnout and kind of closing the knees up a little bit. So knees stay wide apart. They're not friends. They're not friends at all. Top knee does not come down. Last one here. Let's lift up for that side plank. First we do with the dip. So knee to elbow, dip, knee to elbow. These actually kind of feel like a walk in the park comparatively. I think as soon as you change exercises for at least a moment, it feels easier, feels fresher. But no, these feel all right. All right, last one, last dip here. And then we stay up, knee to elbow, extend, knee to elbow, extend. And I'm just proud of myself right now because I remembered everything on that second side. Yay! We're testing my mental capacity right now. One more here. Boom. And release. I know I remembered everything because the time was the same. Hooray! Okay, for a little finisher here. It's not gonna be too long. You're gonna come down onto your back here. Let me just move my timer so I can see it. We're gonna come into a little butterfly position here. So heels are together, toes are apart, so feet are in kind of a V shape here. Knees dropped open to the side. So I am on the outside edge of my feet. You could also lift the toes there. It's harder and be just on the heels. That is a bit harder. Up to you though. We're gonna be doing just a butterfly bridge lift here. So exhale, we'll squeeze up, inhale, lower. That's it. In 3, 2, 1. I know I said that's it. That's actually not it. For now, that's it. But we're definitely gonna be adding on there. But for now, just keeping that turnout, squeezing the corners of the glutes. And remember, tucking tailbone under. So you can always do a little bit of a pelvic tilt before you even lift. So it's this kind of scooping up motion. So we're using the glutes rather than the hips and a whole lot of lower back. I'm feeling everything that we've already done. But we're in the home stretch. So it's just gonna be 2 more exercises in this series after this one, and then we are stretching. So we are close. We are real close. All right, stay lifted on your next one, and we're just gonna squeeze inner thighs together, nice and narrow with the legs, and then press out. Hips are going to be staying on the same level here. So hips aren't going up and down as you go out and in. So keep that really lovely and controlled. That means the glutes are going to have to work a little bit differently throughout this. And that's where we're testing. The glutes have been doing it, and you haven't just been using the hips to lift. So if you're going up and down a lot here, then you know, hey, hips, you've been doing too much. Stay out. It's like a little thigh master. So yeah, squeezing from the inner thighs, reach long through the kneecaps. This feels actually a little bit meditative right now. Still thinking of scooping, tucking under. Ooh, we're almost done with these ones. Let's do 2 more. And then final exercise, yay! You're gonna keep knees wide, we stay lifted, and you're just gonna do little tiny pulses. And the same as I like to do all my pulses in bridge, we're thinking of it as more of a tuck than a lift. So seeing if you can kind of release the tailbone, tuck it, scoop it under, scoop it under. So again, we're trying to keep this in the glutes, less about the backs and the back and the hips. So it's gonna be a smaller motion. Again, it's another kind of case of when we're doing bar, often smaller is better, especially when we're talking pulses. So don't get carried away and think like, oh, I'm gonna make this a great big pulse and really put a lot into it. We're putting a lot of the glutes into it, but we're not putting much of anything else in. So hips are staying more or less on the same level. I'm just releasing tailbone, tuck under. It makes such a difference if you start doing them like this. Do 3, 2, 1, release, huzzah. Hug the knees in here. You can just take the legs a little bit wide. Maybe take a little rock here, side to side. Oh, that's nice, that's nice. All right, roll completely onto one side here and we can press up. Or if you're not pregnant, you could just roll up there as well. And we'll stretch it out. So got this timer. Take the soles of the feet together here. Knees open wide, nice butterfly position. You can lean forward. You could use the elbows to press the knees a little bit wider. You could also, if you feel like it's really hard to keep a straight line through the lower back, you can bring hands behind you and kind of propel yourself that way. So it just kind of depends on how everything's feeling. But nice deep breaths here. Good stuff. And then let's split the legs into a wide straddle position here. Take a little reach over to one side, keeping chest open. Up and over to the other side. One more time here, side to side. Getting that nice side body stretch as well. And the last one there. Good. And then from here, we're gonna bring the feet back in and we're gonna come into kind of a little windmill position. So you're just gonna flip one foot back, yeah, like that. Windmill, pinwheel, I don't know. Drop down onto elbow here, so you're just gonna lean into it. And then we're gonna pick up this back foot, pull it in, so we're getting a nice little quad stretch there. Navel into spine. I'm actively pushing this leg back into my hand. And we can release that back down. And then let's just take a side body stretch here going opposite direction. So you're going toward that leg that you just lifted. And release. We're just going to switch the legs around, just like magic. Come down to the elbow again here. Grab that foot, pull in. So I'm tucking my tailbone here, resisting there. It's a nice quad stretch. It's a nice way to do a quad stretch, especially if like the knees are a little bit sensitive. It's also good when in pregnancy, but I'll often do these with people whose knees are a little bit more sensitive, because it's good for that as well. Go ahead, release, and then we'll just bend toward it. So big up and over. Why do side body stretches always feel so good? And then release. Come back to hands and knees here. Let's just take a cat-cow. So you're gonna inhale, hollow the chest, still keeping core supported, so I'm still zipping up my abs, just opening the chest. And then exhale, round, big tuck in. Inhale, hollow. Exhale, curl in. One more time, inhale, hollow. Exhale, curl in. And then let's just return to one last child's pose here. So toes together, knees wide, sitting back as far as you can there. Just melting into the floor. Hopefully feeling good. It's a nice lower body mobility kind of workout too. And then just walk the hands back in toward the knees here. Woo! Sit up nice and tall. We made it. I know parts of that did feel long, but you guys persevered. We made it through. And we feel better for it, hopefully. So if you guys enjoy seeing more of these mat bar workouts, give this video a like so that I know that you want to see more of them. And of course, if you want to come back for more workouts, again, lots of pregnancy, postpartum friendly workouts headed your way. Hit that subscribe button down below. And finally, let me know in the comment section if you are pregnant while you're doing these workouts with me. And if so, how it is treating you. I will see you guys back here soon. Bye.